Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we are getting into some more Tower of God, and we have so many things going on right now. Like, everything feels complicated because we have the people who are in charge of the workshop battles who had some kind of deal with Foog, but because Foog is basically broken up into like a bunch of different groups and they all seem to be fighting each other because they have different motivations and different ideas of like what to do with Bomb. Apparently because of that, they have broken some kind of deal that they had with the people running the workshop battles. So now some of the rules or restraints aren't in place anymore. Not entirely sure what that means. We've just been getting like little bits of information on that every once in a while. We have all the stuff going on with Emily, which seems like some kind of trap or some kind of greater plan than what we have seen so far. We have Wadan being used as like a human shield to fight Bomb and his friends, which is super messed up, but I feel like she has to have some kind of plan of some kind. I feel like she's prepared enough for that. She's been playing this whole thing the whole time. Like, she's had so many plans within plans and has understood what motivates all of the players that I just can't believe that she doesn't have something ready for what's happening. And more importantly, Kun has a plan and I trust him, so we're gonna see what he has going on and maybe see some of what Bomb's new powers are? Maybe. I don't know. Everything feels very overwhelming at this point. There's so many threads, but let's get into the chapters. Okay, I feel like we're starting with Casino, and that doesn't bode well. I'm just still mad at him for what he did to Teddy Bear, and I don't think I'm ever gonna let go of it. Oh no, do not engage. He survived so long that I'm kind of attached now. He has some Wangnon vibes, and I don't like the idea of him being in an isolated place with Casino. Because Casino is awful to people that he has some kind of emotional attachment to, I assume. Let alone whatever the heck is about to happen here. Okay, we got some kind of vial, and we're taking, I'm assuming, Emily, because that's who was calling for people to let her out. Why do you want Emily? Gosh, the toad socks. I forgot how offended I was by those because my brain was like, we can't hold on to that information. It's too awful. Why you gotta remind me? Oh, Emily 1? Are there multiple? Is Emily in, like, an entity in the liquid? Maybe almost like we had with like the needle, and like there being like some kind of personality that lives within it. And then we had the people who were being almost like submerged before. Were those, like I was saying before, I'm like, is this an actual physical form that Emily has and then it's being put into like this technology that's hooked up to the person? Or is this like a vessel for Emily? Again, kind of like with the needle where there's like an entity within them, but then they have like the weapon as like the vessel that they exist in. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. Dang, like dissolve a person who had become an ignition weapon. So going the opposite way. Ooh, I don't like that. I mean, I didn't really expect much better from Workshop because it already experimented on children and also, I guess, made them kill each other because of what Beta was talking about. So, not expecting like stellar morals from them, but still. And it says 1, so I'm assuming that there are other like Emilys that were experiments. It's messed up. Is it the same woman who gave you a name and then proceeded to let people be awful and do experiments on you? Because I'm still salty about that, and that I feel totally fine with. I will hold that grudge till the end. I understand that she's like trying to like save them or make them able to like defend themselves, but like maybe you just get children out of a place that wants to experiment on them and dissolve them so they have to live in a tube for the rest of their life. Maybe. Just throwing out ideas. Oh my gosh, you can't trust the people who work here? Crazy. Right. We saw this like big egg thing. Okay. Makes more sense that you would have this like giant tank if basically she's been liquefied. Ooh, every time I think about it, it gets worse. But it makes sense that they would have all of these like tanks that have been around. Like we even had the person who was like submerged in it that had all of the like tubes connected to them. And then we have this giant like egg tank. And then you have all of the like tubes like leading out like we have in this panel. Does that mean that like they're adding to the system because they use Emily as like this information gather, like a database almost, with this special liquid I'm assuming that has like Shinsu in it and stuff So the bigger they make kind of like the compound where they keep Emily, the more information that she can store. I'm just putting out ideas. I'm sure they're gonna explain it to me, but I want to try and figure out the puzzle. See, I said before, one, maybe we don't trust Emily because she can just give you information, whatever she thinks that you want to hear, right? And then two, I said before, it feels like having her put out this like SOS like rescue signal was to bring a bunch of people into one place, and when that one place has a history of experimenting on people, it could be really useful to have a whole store of people that are just willingly there. Maybe. And you can just like use what's probably already in like, I don't know, the system. It's weird to think of like Emily as both like a program and a person, but the system of like Emily's trying to reach out to people and get help anyway. So you can just use that mechanic to your advantage. I don't like it. It makes me feel icky, but I understand, and I don't like that either. Okay, so the merchant is the guy who reminds me of Penguin from Batman. And then Daft Punk are the hosts. Gotcha. I'm making jokes because it makes me feel better. I have to diffuse the tension. I mean, I guess she is alive and she is also locked up in a water tank. It depends on what your definition of alive is, right? Like, is it having like a consciousness? Is it having your own thoughts and personalities? Or is it having like a body that has like, you know, living functions to it? Or is it both in tandem? Like, do you have to have both things? What is alive? What is your concept of alive? Because in my brain, she's alive because she has like a consciousness, but it's definitely not the same alive as she was before being liquefied. Did she? I don't know if she fooled. I think she legitimately wanted somebody to save her. I just don't think she had any regard for what those actions would do to the people she was calling to her, which is still messed up, but like, I think it was just desperation. Yeah, it's like she believed that if she put out enough signals, someone would be able to eventually be strong enough and capable enough to rescue her. Again, with a disregard of what that did to them, because there's no way that she didn't know that a bunch of them were like getting killed or experimented on, which I'm fully convinced is what was happening to the other ones. She was just so desperate to be saved herself that that instinct or that drive trumped whatever morals she might have had about what happened to these people who came to save her. It would still suck though. It still suck to like care that much about someone, like the idea you have of that someone, that you would go through all of this trouble to try and rescue them. I mean, at this point, I'm not surprised that they're cruel. I'm just surprised at like the ways they like the imagination to be cruel is what surprises me more than the cruelty itself at this point. All right, don't go with him, okay? Don't go with Cassino. There are other options. I don't know how I feel about him having Emily either. I don't know how to feel about her. I don't know if he is like bring change. How? What change? What kind of change? See, and there he's referring to her as a weapon, not as a person. Cassino is complicated. I don't like him, but I also recognize that there is some justification to why he is the way that he is. Doesn't mean I have to like him though. Oh, see, cuz my sweet teddy bear. Why you gotta be like that to him? Do you? You always have a choice. Yet there is a path. I'm glad that we have a refuse like immediately. There is a path that you have chosen, Cassino. I just feel like there are multiple paths with multiple choices, and this is the one you've chosen. Again, I can understand it. I don't even know if like it's necessarily the worst one or inherently a bad path to take, but it just seems a little bit more fueled by the need for like vengeance as opposed to justice. Not that I know that Teddy Bear's gonna choose the path of justice either. I just think he's choosing a path with more compassion and empathy, which I think is probably better. Aww, that I have a woman I love. Do we know who that is? I think we do. This is so cute. I hope it's who I'm thinking, and not the girl who was letting you be experimented on. See, like there, I can't just save myself using them as tools for my own escape. Empathy, compassion. Whereas to Cassino, Emily is just another weapon, another tool. He's not seeing the person that's there. Same with Teddy Bear though. I think Cassino doesn't see him as a person anymore. I think he sees Ilmar as like either a tool that he's allowed to use or an obstacle in his way. Neither of those are like a person that you can have compassion for. Hello, bunny girl. Don't like you either. Makes me uncomfortable that you're here. Bit unhinged. Subtlety is not Rock's strong point, okay? Just Tell him what he needs to know and let him do the thing. Like he's like, I don't know, I just got it. I don't know what his name is yet. I mean, he can. We know he put all that training in on like the earlier floors where he had to like hit the target. He can throw it. Oh gosh, can you imagine? They deserve a vacation. I don't know if that'll ever happen. I don't see really a happy ending to all of this, but they deserve it anyway. Maybe we'll get like a brief interlude, like when before with the workshop battles where there was like the pool and going to like the fancy dinner party. Just a brief interlude of rest. That's all I need. I don't think so. I think you should still be worried about the power of the needle. He just doesn't really know how to use it yet. He'll get there. See, he can throw. He knows. He just prefers close combat. Oof. The like way that it's like changed into this double, I don't know, like weave thing. Like, and I don't know if part of that is like we have the light coming off of it, or if it's just a way of showing in like a stagnant drawing the way that the like, I don't know, part of the spear, like the handle of the spear is like moving because of like the speed that it's going at. Either way, it looks really cool. Yay! Exceptional spear. Good to know that he's got something good, even if it wasn't exactly for the purposes that he planned. What's Kun doing? Was it all part of a distraction? Because Kun's like way less affected, I feel like, by the whole human shield thing. He's a little more ruthless. Yeah, like hostages I feel like don't work as well on Kun as they do on like Bum. Also, where is Bum? We haven't seen him so far, so what's he doing? Yeah. See, what did I just say? Slightly less interested in the whole hostage thing, unless there's something else going on. Some kind of trick. Uh-oh. It's unraveling. Bum? Hello? Oh no. See, I really don't know if this is because Kun's just like, your hostage won't work on me, or if he's figured out some kind of trick. Again, because I don't believe that Hwaran is like, doesn't have a plan. There has to be something in place for this. I just have so much faith in her that she has something in mind. Like she foresaw that something like this might happen and that she would need some kind of contingency. I don't know where that faith comes from, but I have it. Ah, see, we do have like the separation there. Okay. I haven't been able to see the spear fully yet. Ooh, okay. So he's like not gonna abandon anyone. Everyone's coming along. But where did she go? Oh yeah. Okay. Good way of getting her out of the way. And in a way that would shock your opponent enough that you would be able to do it, right? Because the fact that he's like, all right, I'm just gonna stab this hostage that you're using against me in the heart is like enough to shock his opponent to be like, wait, what's happening? That he can actually go through with being able to use the ability. Well, oh, look at his happy little face. Cutie. There is a chance now, especially since there seems to be something going on with Bum and his abilities, but now you don't have a hostage to make him like second guess what he's doing. So good luck with that. Unlikely, especially since this seems like you're lashing out. So like Kun, even in this moment of peril, is still like, that's not what the spear's for. I have a feeling that Bum is about to make a grand entrance. Yeah. Is it gonna be Bum though? Because we had before where the needle was kind of doing its own thing. And if Bum's out cold, then who's taking over? These are important questions. I don't like her being here. She makes me uncomfortable because she's just like almost like this like religious mania when it comes to like what Bum represents, that I'm just like, no thanks. Hard pass. Interesting that like she says Fugue betrayed Violet. Like she's still putting Violet above Fugue itself because like that's where her loyalty really is. And that's kind of what I was saying before of like she seems to have this like religious like fervor when it comes to the way that she talks about Violet. Like Violet is her god, not Fugue. Her loyalty is to like what Violet represents to her in her head, as opposed to being a part of Fugue itself, which is a very scary thing to like have that kind of power over someone, let alone to like have that attitude towards them, right? Like to worship a person is a very dangerous thing to have, because that's how really dangerous people get into like positions of power. Now, obviously, Bum, he's like a bit of a nicer person than some of the examples that first come to mind with that, and probably a better choice than Fugue, but it's still a very powerful position to find yourself in. And I think that's why like Bum is so opposed to people calling him their god, is one, that he doesn't have any interest in it in general, but two, that like having that much power over people, like letting you have that much power over them, is like a lot of responsibility. And I think that that's how Bomb sees it. It's not like him being power hungry and wanting people to worship him because he wants that control. It's him seeing the responsibility of, I am now in charge of these people. I'm responsible for them. And that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. I like how with this, it's like the money. The money is what's getting to her and not like what food represents. Is this Arkraptor? Oh yeah, we have this whole standoff happening too. So many threads that I'm just like, oh yeah, we went like a whole part of the last couple of chapters where we just were not going back to Endorsey. It's fine. I love my girl. Is Hots getting into the battle now? Were they like intentionally buying time? I like how he's the iron rod. There's something about that that I just find very entertaining. It's true. I mean, there is something in like the simplicity of it, of him like not needing a fancy weapon because his skill set is, again, like I said all the way back when he was first getting his new weapon, I'm like, you can put the most powerful, fancy, expensive weapon into someone's hands, but if they're not trained to use it, then it's never going to reach its potential. Whereas you put something like an iron rod in the hands of somebody who has a ton of skill, it can be a super dangerous weapon. It can be way more dangerous than that super powerful weapon that this person who doesn't have any skill set has, right? So there's something about like the flex of him using an iron rod because he has a bunch of training and skills to counter the fact that it's not an actual sword. I also feel like there's something about it being an iron rod that I kind of associate with justice, because there's like sayings about like the iron rod of justice, or like using like the rod as like a punishment. So I feel like that could also be part of it, as he has this like deep sense of like justice and fairness in like who Hats is as a person. So it has some symbolism with that too. Let me know if I'm like completely off base with that one, but I have like vague memories of that being in my head. I like how they're both like on the same page of like, screw these guys. I'm not entirely opposed. They did do some awful things to Bomb and to a lot of other people. I just got finished saying the Hats that you had like a connection to justice, and this feels again a little bit more like vengeance, but it could be a kind of justice. Ugh, Rachel. Sorry, it's just like always my reaction to her being around in any way. Yeah, she did. Boy, did she. That was a moment. I don't know why the whole going on a date thing is our new gag, but okay. Are we projecting a little bit? It's like a blonde person that you see as betraying you and your friends. Are we associating that with the specific person? Considering how much I dislike Rachel, I can understand. I usually just don't trust someone whose eyes are closed all the time. I bet they do. They got this. They're teamed up. If anyone can, they can. I believe in it. Also, this shot, the composition, dang. It worked. How? When we're doing something internal? Ah. Don't thank Cassina, though. I understand where he's coming from, but like, screw that guy. This is a cool shot, too, of her like appearing behind him, especially since she has the green dress on, and then Mad Dog has all of the reds. Oof. Them's fighting words in Dorsey. Dang. Oh, right, because she has the teleportation. Look at you go. I was gonna say, are we just gonna drop him? Dang, that's cold. To just be like, teleported him into the sky and just drop him and be like, one of us is gonna live. Wonder which one it's gonna be. I mean, I know Endorsey has a bit of a heartless cold streak in her because of the whole being like a princess of jihad. You have to have that to survive as long as she has. But dang, girl, I respect it though. There's something about like other characters being like cold and heartless where I'm like, I don't like them for it or whatever. I'm like, you need more compassion. And then there's like Endorsey where I'm just like, I've accepted that I'm a hypocrite. When it comes to like Endorsey and Kun, when they do something like really cold and heartless, I'm just like, those are my people. Okay, what's Bomb doing though? This is what I've been worried about since we got into the whole him fusing with the needle thing. It's okay, it's unwrapped now. It's fine, it's probably fine. I don't know, I trust Bomb, but I don't trust the power. And we're gonna end there because why wouldn't we end on a cliffhanger? There are so many threads in this story right now, and like to the point where it's me trying to like remember all of the details of them is like starting to be a little bit of a struggle. I guess if like you were binging this a little bit more like faster than I was, because I have to like stop and make these videos, it would be a little bit easier to keep it all in your head. But at the same time, I think that C is doing a really good job of flipping between them in a way that like has overarching themes and concepts that match up, as opposed to being like, oh, we haven't seen like Endorsi for a while, so let's go to that thread. We haven't seen like stuff with Casino and Traveler and Emily and stuff, let's go to that for a little while. It's like, how do we focus on a specific theme and kind of flit in and out of the stories that match up with what that theme is going through, as opposed, and like having all obviously like little moments where it's like reveals information to kind of keep the mystery and like the excitement in the plot as well. But I think he's doing a really good job of balancing out that, so it's kind of focusing on these like pockets of like specific themes and concepts that we're seeing overarching it. Like I feel like these last couple of chapters have been more about like what motivates the different groups a lot more. Like we had a bunch of that with Bam and like his shift in what motivates him, but then we also have like Casino and Oryang and like what motivates them. We had some of it with the bunny girl and I can't remember her name, but and like what is motivating her now, and like why that kind of core thing of how she views like Violet as more important than like Foog. We have some of that with like Endorsi and like what's motivating her now, and Hats and why they're doing the things that they're doing. So I really like that we're kind of following those as opposed to like focusing on like one plot point, like one character story and following that for a really long time. It's a lot of like switching between the different perspectives and the different stories, but because it has that like core concept that's kind of overarching over it, it makes it a little bit easier to keep up with what's going on. And I think that's like a really clever way of dealing with so much that's happening. So just like interesting things for me, because when we focus in on like motivations and character stuff, I find it fascinating because I think that there's so much more to that. And like I think it's really interesting to see how characters view the world, because I think world building is really interesting in general, but I think the best kind of world building is like seeing a similar concept through a different character's eyes, and like how that character, like who they are, colors how they see everything. And I just think that that is like far more interesting to me than just like showing me information dumping about world building. But we've had lots of stuff about entities living in like different forms, whether that's like the needle, or we had the parasite, and now we have Emily, that I just think that that's a cool concept, especially when we had the whole idea of like with Casino and Traveler of like, is Emily alive and is she a person? And what does that mean? Because I feel like because of what the tower is and the different kinds of living things or creatures that are in it, and like the nature of like Shinsu and the magic system and stuff like that, that you could have so many different entities in it, and like which one of those are alive, which one of those are, how do we judge what's alive and what's a person, and what is something worth having empathy for, and all of that. I think that that's going to become more and more important, especially as you have people like Oryang and Casino who are like these living ignition weapons, and then you have like Bam who has the needle with him, and then you have Emily who is like this dissolved version of what used to be a person. Like what's the threshold between something being a person and not a person, and how do we judge that, and should we judge that, and how does that shift how we see people? Even with like the concept of Bam, like is he a person, is he a friend, is he a god, is he a weapon? Is he a tool? Like all of these people, again, having different perspectives based on who they are of the same concept. And like what does that person or that entity or that thing mean to them because of their own ideas of like what is being alive and what is being a person, where that line is between those two things. I just think that's like a really interesting moral dilemma, that in a world like like the tower where there are all of these different entities, which one of them, like are the entities that live in the needles, are they people? Are they their own thing? I think these are questions that you should be asking and that you would have to ask if you lived in a world like the tower where you're going to encounter that. It's a very interesting moral dilemma to me. I find that far more fascinating than just like fast-paced actiony things. I think that we had that a lot in the last couple of chapters, so I like that we're getting more into kind of the philosophy of some of the things that have been going on, as well as some fun action and some comedy and stuff like that. But I hope you enjoyed reading that along with me. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you know next time I post a Tower of God video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.